think this is fun? You gotta be cuckoo crazy. You want fun? Wario show you fun.
Super Mario 64 is a 1996 platform game for the Nintendo 64 and the first in the Super Mario series to feature me reading information on Wikipedia that everyone already knows. But what the Wikipedia article won't tell you about is the weird ARG that spawned a couple months ago. This ARG claims that every copy of the game uses AI to tailor the gameplay to each individual player. Also, this somehow ties into this Wario guy haunting your game. This is just one of the many examples of the game's near ubiquitous status on every social media platform, more so than any other Mario game in fact. The game has spawned countless memes, videos, and even entire communities. But this begs the question, why exactly is this the case? The quick answer would be because it's just that good of a game. Contrary to popular belief, Mario 64 wasn't the game that invented the 3D platformer genre, but rather the one that revolutionized it and created the formula that was followed by a good chunk of the ones that came after it. And the game holds up really well for its time, to the point where I still have yet to see a condescending YouTube essay calling it shit. Even after all these years, the game offers a lot of satisfying movement options for both beginners and more advanced players. As such, many even hold the opinion that it far surpasses the 3D Mario games that came after it. However, while the game's quality certainly contributed to its online reputation, it isn't the main factor. After all, there's plenty of quality pieces of media that fail to get their deserved reputation, as evidenced by the time critics put out the hit on Gotti. In order to get to where it is now, Mario 64 would need one final push, and this push is being released at the right place and at the right time. Super Mario 64 was released in 1996, meaning that the generation of kids who played it when it came out would also be one of the earliest generations of kids to have a good amount of knowledge on how to use the internet. As such, they would have a high amount of control over what content will appear, which means that the games they grew up with would have special priority. This is why plenty of the earliest gaming memes come from the same console generation as Mario 64, whether it's Professor Oak having psychic powers, Slippy being an obnoxious little shit, or Sephiroth having a heated gaming moment. So the groundwork has been set for Mario 64's ubiquitous internet presence. For starters, there's plenty of basic memes resulting from moments from the game. For example, there's this moment where Mario has the option to throw a baby penguin off a cliff.
Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 anime betrayals.
Also, there's this audio clip from the game's iconic Bowser fight which started a debate over what Mario was saying.
So long, Bowser!
Lastly, this piano has become a meme, which is kind of weird considering it's just a random object.
My name is Jeff.
But there's more to Mario 64 than just the individual memes. In fact, this single game has resulted in several distinct online communities. One of the earliest of these communities was the one dedicated to rumors about the game. The most famous of these rumors was L is Real 2401, which speculated that the indecipherable text on the statue was related to the character Luigi in some way. Funnily enough, this prophecy was fulfilled when a massive, and also ethically questionable, hack revealed that Luigi was discovered in the game's beta 24 years and 1 month after the game's release. And while the L is Real rumor has a major place in the game's history, another rumor would arguably have an even larger impact. In the endless staircase sequence, Mario is forced to climb this staircase continuously unless he has a certain amount of stars. However, rumors about a way to get past the staircase without the necessary stars started to surface. If the player could do a backwards long jump and then mash A in order to build speed, Mario would be unaffected by the staircase, allowing him to break the barrier and enter the final level as usual. With this new discovery, the amount of stars needed to beat the game changed from 70 to 50. Afterward, several new techniques would bring this count to 31, to 16, to 1, and lastly to 0. And since Mario 64 already has a great deal of movement options without these glitches, many people became determined to become the very best like no one ever was. Speedrunning communities exist for nearly every game and compete to get the lowest time. And going off of speedrun.com, Mario 64 actually has the most submitted speedruns out of any game, beating out famous titles like American Dad and the Yandere Dev Discord server. There are currently 5 main categories for Mario 64 speedruns. One dedicated to collecting the 70 stars needed in a regular playthrough, one dedicated to collecting all 120 stars, one where no stars are collected at all, and the 2 categories that preceded the 0-star run, those being the 1-star and 16-star star runs. But for Mario 64 players, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Plenty of other self-imposed Mario 64 challenges started to emerge, whether it's beating the game with as little A presses as possible, collecting every single coin in the game, or beating the game while blindfolded. And some players even took it a step further by combining said challenges with the speedruns that preceded them and doing them in as little time as possible. These Mario 64 challenges have accumulated a large community that hosts many notable figures. For starters, there's YouTubers like SwankyVox and Tetrabit Gaming who make videos dedicated to whether specific challenges are possible. Next, I have to give a shout out to SimpleFlips, a speedrunner and streamer who is well respected in the community. Also, there's Panenkoic 2012 who does in-depth tutorials on specific runs and also does research on very specific aspects of the game. Lastly, there's TJ Henry Yoshi, a YouTube commenter who made the mistake of saying something slightly wrong on a Panenkoic video and then politely apologizing. This led to countless people repeating the same unfunny joke whenever he even thinks of commenting something ever again. We did it, Reddit! And with so many honing their skills for these challenges, there was only so much that could be done with vanilla Super Mario 64. Within the base game with no extra gimmicks, there are very few opportunities for Mario 64 fans to utilize the incredibly advanced techniques from the challenges. But thankfully for these fans, the perfect playground would soon be at their fingertips. Enter the Super Mario 64 ROM hacking community. While I have not played any myself, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the various Mario 64 ROM hacks.
Only place I hate more than Indianapolis? Chicago.
There's something for everyone within this community. If you want a full game with original content, hacks like Star Road have you covered. If you just want to play as a different character, you can be anyone from Kirby to a version of Mario in a wheelchair to that one unfunny anime meme from a couple years back. If you like lay epic memes, you can play stuff like Waluigi's Taco Stand, which is based on a GameFAQs post from 2006, or alternatively Ramran 64, which is based on Grant McDonald's musical masterpiece. If you really hate Mario 64, the community has you covered, as you can play ROM hacks that make the game become various other titles like Ocarina of Time and Mario Odyssey. And lastly, if you really hate yourself instead, you can play Chaos Edition, a version of the game that corrupts itself every couple of seconds. And while the speedrunning and ROM hacking communities were doing their thing, Mario 64's reputation would be brought full circle when the rumor community decided to make the game's grand finale. In November of 2019,
I may be stupid.
a 4chan user called the King of the Internet would make a post detailing a figure called the Wario apparition, which would supposedly appear in the game and cause the player to go insane. Other pieces of lore were added down the line, such as an experimental AI within the game that personalizes every copy and a mysterious 1995 beta. Then in May of 2020, someone else on 4chan would create the Mario 64 Iceberg, an image mentioning the Wario apparition lore, as well as other topics the average player wouldn't know about, such as unused assets, obscure pieces of text, and various conspiracies. On May 23rd, a user by the name of MegaX2 would post the image to Twitter and go somewhat viral. The image's spread would result in many cool creations related to its lore, such as video mock-ups of the 1995 beta or the supposedly personalized copies. Finally, 1 month later, a YouTube user by the name of Mishcause would upload a half-hour-long video that gives in-depth explanations to each piece of lore on the Iceberg. Mish only had less than 200 subscribers when they uploaded the video, but through a quirk in YouTube's algorithm, the video would get 2 million views in a short amount of time, thus exposing even more people to the Iceberg lore. The user who created the Wario apparition lore in the first place would eventually say that they did this to bring back the rumors of old, and judging by the countless amount of contributions to the lore coming each and every day, I would say they succeeded. To end this video, Mario 64's reputation is one of a kind. It already started out as the most critically and commercially successful game of its console, but the game's fans are continuously innovating on it, creating various playthroughs and hacks, and even turning the game into an ARG. I can't say for certain what will come next for the community, but I look forward to seeing what Mario 64 creation will be on my feed next. Hey, Hey, this is the YouTuber outro. You might have heard of the Wario apparition, but now there's this thing called the Gnome apparition. If you subscribe to a channel called Big Gnome, your YouTube feed will actually get shitty videos by a guy with an obnoxious voice and a shitty mic. Also, liking, commenting, and shamelessly promoting on other websites will probably do similar things. I wouldn't test this stuff if I were you. It's dangerous.